My name is Thothmes, and I was a scribe in the city of Iunu, the place you call Heliopolis, in the year 2050 BCE, under the reign of Pharaoh Mentuhotep II. Iunu was the heart of Egypt's faith, where the sun god Ra was born each dawn, where priests wove the world's order with words and offerings. I was no priest, no noble, just a man with a steady hand, trained to carve truth into papyrus, to keep the gods will clear. But truth is a dangerous thing, sharper than any blade, and I learned it the hard way. This is the story of what I found beneath the sands, what it meant for Egypt, and why I can never speak it aloud. I was 22, apprenticed to the house of life, where scribes like me copied hymns, tallied grain, and guarded secrets no one else could know. My father had been a scribe too, his fingers stained with ink until the day he died, whispering of words that burn. I thought he meant the God's wrath, but I was wrong. My life was simple: reed pen, papyrus, the hum of chants, until the Nile failed. The flood didn't come that year, the fields cracked, and the people starved. Priests blamed heretics, Pharaoh blamed the south, but I saw something else: fear in the eyes of the high priest, Jehudi, when he thought no one watched. It started with a task. Jehudi summoned me to the temple of Ra, his voice cold as the stone. "Thothmes," he said, "you're to copy a scroll. No questions. No mistakes." He handed me a papyrus, sealed with a wax scarab, and sent me to a locked chamber beneath the temple. The scroll was old, its edges crumbling, written in glyphs I barely knew, archaic, sharp, not the smooth curves of our script. It spoke of the silent ones, not gods but something older, who breathed life into the Nile and bound the stars to earth. There was a map, too, faint but clear, a point in the desert, west of Iunu, marked with a spiral. I copied it, as ordered, but I couldn't stop reading. The scroll described the relic, the heart of the silent, buried where the map pointed, a thing that sang to the river and kept Egypt alive. The priests had hidden it, fearing its power, but now, with the Nile dry, Jehudi wanted it found, not to use, but to control. I finished the copy, my hands shaking, and hid a sketch of the map in my sandal. I told no one, not yet. Scribes learn silence early. My only ally was Mary, a weaver's daughter who worked in the temple's linen stores. She was sharp, her laugh a spark in Iunu's heavy air, and she'd seen things: priests sneaking into the desert, guards carrying strange tools. "They're afraid," she told me one night, her voice low. "Something's wrong with the gods." I showed her the map, and her eyes lit up. "Let's find it," she said, half joking. I wasn't joking. The Nile was dying, and so were we. We planned carefully. The desert was no place for a scribe and a weaver, but Mary knew a boy, a water carrier with a donkey and a grudge against the priests. He joined us for a handful of copper, muttering about curses but loyal enough. We left Iunu during the festival of Ra, when the city danced and the guards drank. The desert was brutal, the sun a fist, but the map was true. 3 days west, we found it, a dune, unremarkable except for a stone, half buried, carved with that spiral. Ka dug, cursing, and hit metal, not bronze, but something smoother, colder, humming like a living thing. The stone was a lid, covering a shaft that dropped into darkness. Mary tied a rope, and I went first, my torch barely cutting the black. The shaft opened into a chamber, smaller than I'd expected, its walls etched with spirals and stars, glowing faintly green. In the center stood a device, not an altar, but a sphere, the size of a man, floating an inch off the floor, its surface rippling like water. It sang, a low note that made my teeth ache, and the air shimmered above it, showing glimpses, rivers flowing, skies with 3 moons, figures moving, not human, not gods. Mary joined me, her breath catching. "This is the heart," she whispered. Ka stayed above, shouting for us to hurry. I touched the sphere, and it flared, green light flooding the chamber. My mind filled with voices, not words, but feelings, hunger, balance, warning. The Nile's failure wasn't chance, the heart was weakening, its song fading, and the silent ones knew. I pulled back, dizzy, and Mary grabbed my arm. "We can't leave it," she said. But we couldn't take it either, it was too heavy, too alive. We climbed out, the hum following, and Ka was pale, pointing to the horizon. Dust rose, riders, temple guards, coming fast. We hid in the dunes, but they found the shaft. Jehudi was with them, his robes pristine, a rod in his hand, black and gleaming, like the scroll's description of the Silent One's tools. He didn't see us, but he spoke, his voice sharp, "The heart is ours. The Pharaoh will kneel." Mary's hand tightened on mine. They weren't saving the Nile, they wanted power. We slipped away, back to Iunu, silent, the hum in my head now, not just the desert. In the city, we hid in Mary's father's looms, planning our next move. I went back to the House of Life, pretending nothing had changed, but Jehudi watched me, his scarab ring glinting. I stole another scroll, this one naming the Silent Ones as those who came from the dark between stars, who gave Egypt the heart to bind the Nile's flow in exchange for secrecy. The priests had betrayed them, hoarding relics, using them to build pyramids, to control kings. The heart was dying because of it, and the Silent Ones would return if it failed. Mary found a name in the slums, Hapit, an old woman, once a priestess of Hathor, cast out for asking too many questions. She lived in a hut by the Nile, her eyes milky but sharp. I showed her the map sketch, and she laughed, bitter. "The silent scribes," she said, "that's what they called us. Guardians, not wielders." She told us the truth, the heart wasn't a gift, but a leash, keeping Egypt tethered to the Silent One's will. The rods, the spheres, the pyramids, all theirs, built to channel the earth's pulse, to keep their eyes on us. "Fix it," she said, "or they come back." Hapit gave us a relic, a disc, small, glowing faintly, etched with spirals. "It speaks to the heart," she said. "Use it, but not long." We thanked her, but that night, her hut burned, no trace of her left. Jehudi's work, I knew it. Mary was furious, Ka terrified, but we had no choice. We had to return to the desert, to the heart, before the priests claimed it. We left at dawn, the disc hidden in Mary's basket, Ka's donkey laden with water. The desert was worse this time, sandstorms, heat, the hum louder, like a warning. We reached the shaft at dusk, but the guards were there, dozens now, with rods that hummed blue. Jehudi stood at the dune's crest, the heart's green light spilling from below. Mary whispered a plan, Ka would distract them, pretending to be a lost trader, while we slipped inside. Ka nodded, pale, and walked off, shouting nonsense. The guards chased him, and we ran, dropping into the shaft. The chamber was different, brighter, the sphere spinning, its song a scream. Jehudi's men were inside, their rods forcing the sphere to rise, tearing cracks in the walls. Mary pulled the disc, and it flared, green like meeting green, the hum softening. The sphere slowed, but the voices came again, sharper, restore. Or fall. I didn't know how, but Mary did. She pressed the disc to the sphere, and it sank, locking into place. The crack stopped, the Nile's pulse returned, faint but there, in my bones. Jehudi saw us. His rod flared, and the air burned, knocking Mary down. I grabbed the guard's fallen rod, not knowing how, and swung it, light against light. The chamber shook, the sphere humming louder, and Jehudi laughed. "You can't stop it," he said. "Egypt is mine." But the Silent Ones answered. Shadows moved, not in the sphere, but behind us, tall, thin, their forms like smoke and starlight. They didn't speak, but Jehudi screamed, his rod shattering, his body crumpling. The guards fled, and Mary pulled me out, the chamber collapsing. We barely escaped, sand choking the shaft, the hum fading. Ka was waiting, bruised but alive, his distraction a miracle. We returned to Iunu, silent, the disc buried deep. The Nile flooded days later, the fields green again, the priests claiming Ra's mercy. Mary wove linen, I wrote hymns, and Ka vanished, his debt paid. Jehudi was gone, his name erased, but I saw his scarab ring in the temple, worn by another. Egypt thrived, its pyramids rose, its gods endured. I grew old, my hands trembling, my silence heavy. The heart is still there, under the sand, its song faint but alive. Last night, I dreamed of those shadows, their eyes on me, and woke to a hum, not in my head but the earth. A crack glows west of Iunu, small, green, growing. The silent ones are watching, and I wonder who'll answer when they call.